getting right to it. If you go out in the world, I hope you never do, and you encounter other purveyors of what they say is the Vaishnava faith, they have different approaches, right? And you can go, this is what you don't want to do. Here, I'm telling you what to do, right? Don't go on the web and try to look, Siddhadeha. How do I know this? There are movements out there that will tell you, they say, what is your Siddhadeha? As soon as you walk in the door, or as soon as you give them some money, or, accept them as guru, whatever they require, they'll tell you. Do you think you can trust that? I wouldn't, because you've come here and you're following a path that's going to reveal that to you if you follow the instructions that are given. So it's very dangerous if we become too curious in in the wrong way. We have to be careful. We don't want to derail our efforts with what Prabhupada gave us, right? If we do that, we get the result. And the Tulsi prayer is basically that you're asking Tulsi to help you to become a maidservant of Srimati Radharani. And we are all followers of Rupanuga, right? We are Rupanuga Vaishnavas. Who is who is Rupa Goswami in the spiritual world? Rupa Manjari, right? Does everybody know what Manjaris are? Does anybody not know who the Manjaris are? Okay, the Manjaris are little girls. They're little girls. They're even younger than the gopis. The gopis are what? 11, 12, 13 maybe? Very young. The Manjaris are even younger. And they're servants of the servants of Radharani. And they take care of, and the chief Manjari is Srila Rupa Manjari. Srila Rupa Manjari. Srila Rupa Manjari Pada. There's a famous song. So, since we're in the line of Lord Chaitanya, and the principal followers of Lord Chaitanya are Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, and they serve the gopis, what do you think? There's a pretty good chance we're going to be in our spiritual form. Not guaranteed. We don't know. I'm not trying to say anybody's anything. But you can have faith that what you're doing, the prayers that you're reciting, you should meditate on their meaning. Make me a maidservant. I want to be, you're telling Tulsi, and Tulsi is Vrindavan personified, right? She's the Dham. She serves Radha and Krishna to a level that we can't even imagine, So we want to serve the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Radha and Krishna. And the further out you are, apparently, the more spiritual enjoyment you get. Wow. So if I'm not right, first in line, that's not the topmost. No, the further you are back, the more enjoyment that you get. It's like a tree, the Tulsi tree. If you shake Tulsi, the branch moves a little bit, right? But then the newer branch shakes a little bit more, and then the leaf on the branch shakes more than the branch, right? What shakes the most? The manjari that's on the end. My spiritual master told us that story. I'd only been coming for about 2 or 3 years, and I was shocked because it was going right to what it's all about. So you don't have to think that there's something outside this movement that we need that we don't have. There's not. It's all here. Krishna chooses when to reveal himself to us. Even though our ardent desire, right? I have so many unwanted dirty things in my heart. I am trying to purify my consciousness. When I do that, Krishna will say, okay, now I'm ready to reveal myself to you, and I'll tell you who you are, and you can come back to me. But we have to follow the process, right? It's very, very important. If you go around, you've taken initiation, but you don't chant your rounds, you don't follow the principles strictly, then why are we going to be shocked oh, I have to take another birth? Or could it mean I'm just not attracted to Radha and Krishna, right? Maybe I have to go. Maybe my ultimate destination is Lakshmi Narayan. And if you become too attached to the opulence of Lakshmi Narayan, well, it means you're too attached. You don't want to become too attached to Krishna's opulence, because then that means you're a follower of Lakshmi Narayan. This is brought out in the later purports. I was going to read them, but it's getting late. And it's quite an amazing explanation. But the conclusion that I came from reading it and thinking about it is that we don't have to go anywhere else. But it's so, so important that we chant 16 rounds in the association of devotees, that we follow the principles strictly. We're all going to have problems, right? Tulsi is waiting, not Tulsi, excuse me, the material energy, Maya Devi herself is very interested in each and every one of us. Why? Because we've declared war against her. We've said, Maya, I don't want you anymore. And she said, oh, there's a challenge. What happens when you get challenged? I want to fight. Maya, she has minions. She has all this power to attract us to illusory material enjoyment instead of Radha Krishna and their love and the spiritual practices. So she's just waiting to pick us off. Ping, 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 right? There were snipers. Did y'all know this in Vietnam and in different wars? Snipers could take people out from a mile away. Can you imagine that? You're doing some military exercise or something, and you're trying, boom, you just get shot. Where'd it come from? I don't know. Lakshmi or Maya's like that, right? Maya can do that to us. And so that's okay. Maya will win a lot of battles in our life, right? Those have been around a while. Can we testify to that? Yes. Maya wins some battles, but she doesn't win the war. She doesn't win the war. So fight her more by chanting Hare Krishna. And then her victories become fewer and fewer and fewer, and then you win the battle. And we know we're going to win the battle because Prabhupada assured us we are, if we stick with it. Don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave. Don't ever leave ISKCON. No matter what happens, no matter who's in charge, you may disagree with things. It's okay. Try not to voice those disagreements because we don't want to cause chaos. When you're in charge, you can decide, right? And that may happen. Everybody sitting here, you will have opportunities to make decisions that affect other devotees. If you're a parent, right now you're already making those decisions that affect other devotees. As you preach, your preaching is affecting other devotees. So what you say and what you do, and most important, the example that you set, right? What's your example of a devotee? What's my example? I keep sleeping in. I don't get up for Mangal Arati. That's a terrible example, right? I've been in the movement for like 30 years. It's terrible. Maya, ping, every morning. A sniper a mile away hits me. I don't get up. So the key to Krishna consciousness is to go to bed early the night before, that you will naturally wake up, and then you will get up and say, wow, it's 3 a.m. I am totally refreshed. I don't need to sleep anymore. And you'll go, I can go to the temple. I can be there for Mangal Arati, which is the most sublime and special and sweet time of the day, right? It's so special. And when you come in for Mangal Arati, you can feel it. It's like, wow, that's a special, special energy it's a special feeling that we're allowed to get from Krishna waking up with Radharani in their pastimes. They wake up in a kunj, right? And they're under the gun. Boom. Krishna is going to be woken by his mom in Nandagram soon, right? But he's been enjoying with Radharani all night, right? they've got to get back fast. Sometimes they don't get there in time. So they have to do subterfuge. They have to pull tricks so that the parents and the in-laws of Radharani don't see she's not there, right? So her friends help her. Her Sakis help her, Vishaka and Lalita. Lalita means clever. You got to be really clever to do the things she does, to outsmart Jotila and Kotila. Does anybody know who Jotila and Kotila are? They're Radharani's, mother-in-law and sister-in-law. She has a husband. His name is Abhimanyu. But the name Abhimanyu means something which isn't really real. So although Radharani has a husband for Krishna's pastime, she's not really married to him, right? She only enjoys with Krishna. But it's there for pastimes, right? It's like a movie, kind of like, what's happening in the movie isn't real. They're just putting on a show, right? It's pastime. But there's this personality, Abhimanyu. It's really Krishna, right? It's really Krishna. But Krishna will outsmart himself. He'll dress as Abhimanyu and say, hey, Krishna's dressed as me. He's about to come up. Don't let him come in. So the real Abhimanyu comes up, and his mother-in-law and said, they all say, you're Krishna dressed as Abhimanyu. They're throwing stuff at him. They kick him out. Won't let him in. He's like, so these are the pastimes. These are the things that we can assist in, right? If we become Krishna conscious. If we become pure devotees by following, chanting 16 rounds, following the regulated principles, associating with devotees, following the instructions of the spiritual master. Prabhupada said it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. He says guaranteed. You go back to Godhead. He goes, and you can do it in this life. You can do it in this lifetime. He goes, and why not? Why waste your time with more lifetime? Just go back in this lifetime. So these things nurture that understanding, and I hope that was okay. I hope I didn't say anything too crazy. So any comments or questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such a nice class. I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time. I thought of many things throughout your class, but two that I wanted to share. One is that I recently had a call with one of my dear Shiksha gurus, and he told me I was expressing to him I feel a little discontent with my practice. I feel like I'm going through an artha nivritti, and I have these high spiritual aspirations. Like I have some attraction towards like what I want to achieve in the future, but I feel like I'm so far from that. And I need to reach the next stage, Nishta. And I know it's gonna take some time. And he basically said, kind of what you said, that it was almost like, this is it. This is your secret. This is what's gonna unlock it, which I'm always looking for that thing that's gonna unlock it, Like I think all of us maybe can relate to that. Like, what is the thing? And he said, it's going to bed early. He said, you need to go to bed by 9 o'clock every night. Do this as a vrat, unless you're staying up because it's some like necessary service. You should not be staying up because you didn't finish your rounds. You should not be staying up for you should finish your rounds early and go to bed early, because this is going to unlock Nishta. I mean, Krishna's mercy, actually. Guru's mercy. Yeah. And this is my Shiksha Guru, so his mercy is contained within this instruction. So, and I feel like it's there for all of us as well. If we want that secret key, like you were saying, it's go to bed early so you can wake up early.
I know you said two things, but let me just comment real quick. So the secret to success is going to bed early. Let's put that on a billboard on Central Expressway. Do you want to understand who God is? Go to bed early.
And then the other thing that I wanted to share, I think it's really amazing. Sometimes I think I've experienced this, being a little worried, like, oh no, what if I don't like my swarup, my eternal spiritual position? What if I'm, and this is a sad thought to have, because we should be more humble than a blade of grass. I mean, anything. Lord Brahma said, make me a blade of grass, but I think, oh God, I don't want to be a blade of grass. I want to actually do something. And so actually, Srila Prabhupada very rarely addressed what goes on behind that curtain.
Mm.
But here he did, and he said, the original, someone asked the question, is the eternal form of the spirit soul a human form, or is it that? And Prabhupada said, yes, human form. Man is made in the image of God, he said. So, yeah, the soul is human. But then he goes even deeper. They asked, there's peacocks and all of these things in the spiritual world. How do we understand that? And he said, it's like they're covered with a blanket, but it's not like the material world. It's they choose to be covered. So he said in the spirit, so the person asks, are they covered in the spiritual world? Like, are they kind of like covered over?
Mm.
He said, not in the spiritual world. Prabhupada says, not in the spiritual world. There, that is voluntary. Some devotee wants to serve Krishna as a flower, they become a flower there. If I want that as a flower, I shall lie down at the lotus feet of Krishna. He becomes a flower voluntarily. And this is the point. He can change his form from flower to human body. That is spiritual life. There is no restriction. If some devotee wants to serve Krishna as a cow, he serves Krishna as a cow, a calf, a flower, plant, water, ground, field, father, mother, friend, beloved, anything. That is Krishna's all-powerfulness, spiritual life. So he's saying according to our desire to serve, there's no selfish desire. So it's not like, it's about how can I please Krishna?
Mm.
And if that's our desire, then we can do anything for that service. And
they're saying there's spiritual free will. We have material free will, right? So even in the spiritual world, we still have free will, but to serve in the loving way that we choose. That's astonishing. That's really astonishing. Where was that from? Where did Prabhupada, is there a source for it?
This is Srimad Bhagavatam 6, 1 through 4, a lecture, question and answer part of the lecture that he gave in Melbourne on May 20th, 1975.
There's always something special about Australia. It really brings out. Okay. Oh, yeah. It's beautiful. That's amazing. I've never heard anything like that before. I've never heard Prabhupada share something that esoteric. That's really astonishing. There's something about Australia that would bring that out. That's probably a mundane thing to say, but Tamal Krishna Maharaj was that way too. We'll listen to his lectures from that time. It's like, wow, he just goes, like, it's like something about it. They would say more. Because you have to decide, a pure devotee is a uttama adhikari, right? There's 3 levels. Kanishta, beginners, madhyam, medium, and uttama is top. The uttama adhikari can't preach at uttama platform because he sees everyone as Krishna. He doesn't differentiate. To preach, you have to differentiate. So you have to come down to the madhyam platform to preach. I'm a kanista. I want to get to madhyam platform. Do you know how amazing it is to be at a madhyam platform? You're a Vaishnava. Prabhupada says that. If you're at madhyam platform, you're a Vaishnava. You're chanting all your rounds. You're purifying yourself. You're following the regular principles. That's practically it. So when you were stating, you're yearning to understand and you want to know and you're worried, well, like people would ask that, Prabhupada, am I a rock? I don't want to be a rock, in the spiritual world. But this is the answer. If Krishna needs you to serve as a rock, you're happy to serve as a rock, right? Serve as a mountain. Who comes on your mountain? All, the gopis, the gopas. Krishna, you get the dust of their lotus feet. Uddhava was Krishna's personal friend, and he prayed to be grass in Vrindavan just so he could get the dust from the lotus feet of the gopis. Try to figure that out. It's a level of dedication and understanding I don't have yet, because I would think, well, wouldn't I want to be a gopi? No. Uddhava just wanted the dust from the feet of the gopi. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's another pastime with, I think it's Rati Manjari, Tulsi Manjari, Raghunath Das Thakur, his swarup in the spiritual world. I think it's Rati Manjari. Anyways, I think it's her. There was the opportunity, Radha and Krishna were thinking, oh, maybe we promote you to the role of a Saki. And this Manjari was like, oh no, please no, I can't, I'll lose my service. I want to just stay here where I'm at. like, I mean, the sakis are amazing. Like, I serve them, I worship them, I love, like, they're my life and soul. But I can't be that. I need to be this.
Mm, mm, mm. That's interesting. And that's maybe proof we are what we are spiritually, and we're going to stick with it.
Thank you for the very nice class, Dharma Prabhu. I was appreciating the point you were making, how fortunate we are to have what Srila Prabhupada has given us and how we have everything that we need here. And there was one point you were making about, sometimes devotees maybe don't agree with what's happening, or they have, a difference of opinion with management. And I was thinking, my prayer and hope is that we develop such nice relationships with each other that there's a confidence in the devotees that they feel that they can voice those to the management in a healthy way, whenever there is any kind of disagreements or issues, because a lot of times it's just a misunderstanding. And if there's a chance to just discuss it openly and nicely with an open mind and with some humility on both sides, that generally those can be cleared up, and then it helps to strengthen the relationships and strengthen the, if it's just a misunderstanding and now what's going on, then it's cleared up. But if it's a misunderstanding and you never get a chance to voice that and speak about it, then it can turn into something more where you just hold on to that.
Yes.
And it builds. So just a thought.
Thanks for
A
sharing
prayer
that.
and a hope.
I should take that whole thing that you said and just wrap it around me as exactly what my problem is. That our false egos operate in that way, to say, oh, that's wrong. Oh, that could be better. Oh, this isn't right. Oh, what about this? And what are you doing when you do that? You're just criticizing. And it's called having a critical mentality. If you just criticize all the time, then you're telling the world, my mind, I trust my mind more than I trust, like, the opinion of every devotee in this room, or all the devotees that have dedicated their lives to the propagation of holy names of the Lord and have achieved positions of authority in ISKCON. And you're telling the world, no, my mind is more right. But it's a trick that the mind plays on us. I mean, our minds sort of help get us here, right? Our intelligence and our mind. Well, the mind is separate from the intelligence. The mind just accepts and rejects, but we think that's what got us here, but really wasn't. It was our intelligence and mercy got us here. But we always default because our mind helps us get things done. Like, I got to do this, I got to do that, accept, reject, get going on the day, get things done. So it's a powerful tool, but we can't let it run away with us. We can't let it just take anything that we're thinking, and even in interpersonal relationships. It's not just with superiors. If we always think we're right, and we always think they're wrong, we're always accepting ourselves and rejecting others, then the mind is going to keep us far, far away from the devotees. Because that's what the mind doesn't want us to become Krishna conscious. It can be trained to be our best friend, right? But we have to use the tools to train it, right? Anything in a material world needs so much training, right? You can be a doctor, nurse, lawyer, car mechanic. You need training. Same for us. We want to be, but we're training to be the topmost thing there is, which is, an associate of Krishna, to go back home, back to Godhead. So thank you for sharing that. It's so, so important. That really made me feel what my battle is. My battle's always with myself. It's my mind. Because it's my worst enemy, like 80% of the time. So I want to make it so that it's not my worst enemy 70, 60, 50, 40. And then pretty soon it's your best friend 80% of the time. And then that 20 just shut off. It just cut it right off, But it is so important that we the key to that is like communication, right? If you communicate and talk with other devotees, sometimes they can help you. I've shared the same problem I've had for like the last 2 or 3 years many times, and I never really got the right feedback on it. I kept hanging, because I was hanging on to, clinging, horribly to this notion that I knew better. It's very hard. Arjuna says to Krishna, it's easier to control the wind than to control your mind. Krishna says, yes, it is. The mind is harder to control than the wind. Who even knows how to control the wind? Does anybody know? No. And it's harder to control the mind. But Krishna says you can do that by chanting every morning, go to bed early the night before, get up early, chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds. This isn't just like a coincidence that Prabhupada set this up, right? With morning program, which includes Mangal Arti, Tulsi, Puja, chanting, Japa, Bhagavatam class, and Prasadam. My spiritual master used to say said in lectures, if you do that, it's like an inoculation for the day. And Maya can't touch you. Maya can't touch you for the rest of the day. Then you have to come get your inoculation again the next day. Don't forget to get your jab every morning. And it starts the night before. When you go see the doctor, what do they say? You got to fast, right? So you start the day before you visit the doctor. Well, start the day before. Any more questions, comments? Yes, bro.
Nice class, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
The word Siddha Deha, I think this word is so significant. Close, okay. This word is so significant. And Siddha Deha, many faith, they say, it seems so easy to go back to Godhead in their faith, but it is not. And we have so many rules and regulations we need to follow, and that only get there. And we are still far away from getting spontaneous devotions. So that amazed me. Is it to attract the people that tell it's so easy to go back to Godhead in their faith? Whereas in our faith, we say right from the beginning, you need to follow all these things. You need to purify yourself. Then only you'll be fit to go back to Godhead.
Right.
So even though it's so hard, it's not possible to everybody in one life or many life it may need, but it still will stay. I think it's the bliss is the taste we get, and even though it's so difficult. Whereas some of the faith, in some of the faith, it's a different.
Have you ever had a patient come in with a mouth that was just totally wrecked, and you thought, well, I probably can't fix everything. But did you tell them that? No, because the patient would just give up. Say, no, I'm going to try. If the doctor told us how sick we really were, we would never even try. So when someone new comes into the temple, do we tell them how hard it's going to be? Say, well, actually, you're going to go 30 years and Maya's going to pick you up and it's going to be really hard. No, you don't tell people that. You tell them the process is easy, and it is, isn't it? The process is easy, but the path is as hard as we make it. Why? Because we have free will. At every single step of the way, we decide what we're going to think about at that moment of the day. We always have free will. And in the examples given, the king says to his top advisor, when does my desire for material enjoyment go away? And so he goes out, he says, I'll show you. He goes to a tree, and he wraps himself around the tree, and he says, let me go, let me go. And he's hanging onto the tree, right? Let me go, let me go. This is our relationship with the material world, with material enjoyment. We really don't want to give it up. Indra fell down and had to be a hog, and he didn't want to give up being a hog when his real position was Indra. That shows you how powerful Maya is. Prabhupada said, I'm not scared of anything except one thing. What was that? Maya. And he goes, and my disciples, they're not scared enough of Maya. My Western disciples, yeah. Can you imagine? Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, pure devotee Lord, the only thing he was scared of was Maya, because he knew it's Krishna's energy, and it's very powerful. But we don't get the same result, enjoying Krishna's Maya as we do enjoying our spiritual practices, right? Excuse me, so it's proof. But we need to increase our spiritual practices so that we'll let go of that tree and stop saying, let me go, we'll actually let go, right? And when we preach, you can't tell everybody everything right away. But you can tell them your own experiences and what makes you come so often. You're at the temple all the time, and you drive in, and your wife drives in. She's always doing service, and your kids are always here. They're like naturally devotees. Your son traveling, older son around India, and your younger son, beautiful mridanga playing today. Thank you. And there's such nice presence in the temple, and other kids, and they see, it's like, that's amazing. So don't think that, I need more bliss. You weren't saying that, I know. But you know what I mean? That's one thing I wanted to say, and I'm glad you brought it up, because I want to tell everybody, we're closer to Krishna than we realize. We really are. But we're still grappling with the last dirty things in our heart, right? We're just getting rid of those last anartas. And the big anarta for me is criticizing others. That's a big one. And the desire for prestige and honor and distinction. That's a really big one. And to accept the instructions of our superiors without criticizing. That's a really big one. And as Prabhu said, how do you overcome that? Ask questions. Talk. Because our mind creates all this nonsense things and makes false assumptions, and then we make decisions based on the false assumption. And then if you go to the authority and get it clarified, you're like, oh, wow, I was wrong. Again, for the billionth time, I was wrong. And it's nice when you get to realize that, because then you push out the nonsense and okay, now I can go forward and be respectful again. Yeah. That's a big one. I'm still struggling with that. But that's really been my whole spiritual life. That's what the struggle has been. It's different for all of us, right? Some are born in the Western countries and some are born in India. Anybody born in India is an advanced soul, right? Prabhupada says they're instructed to preach this movement, preach Krishna consciousness. So it's a wonderful thing. Thank you, Prabhu. So thanks for being here, everybody, and appreciate you listening and being here. And please forgive any offenses if I've said anything. My obeisances to all of you. Vanchakalpadrubhascha, Kripasanusevacha, Patitanam Panebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Natakoti Vaishnavrinda ki. It was wonderful because you were here.